All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Aaron Evans. Uh, I'm 49 years old and I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana.
All righty. So I guess I'll start things off by asking you what branch did you serve in, and you can go ahead and say why.
Well, I served in the U.S. Army and I just always wanted to join the Army. I wanted to be a soldier. You know, when you was a kid, we didn't have computers and phones and all that, so we played with toys. We played with GI Joes and the little plastic green men, and we watched the A Team on TV, which was a
Mm-hmm.
Army Special Forces, and so we kind of grew up. You know, me and my little group of friends grew up playing Army. So that's what I wanted to join was the Army.
All right. What years did you serve in, and did you ever consider serving longer than you did, or did you ever consider, you know, dropping out of the army?
I served from 1994 to 1997. So right when I graduated, actually I joined up before I graduated from high school. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I always went in with the attitude that I didn't want it to be a career. I just wanted it to be an experience. You know, I've always liked adventure. You know, as a kid, I would, always go down to the creek and explore and go to the woods and camp out and have my BB gun. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I didn't, I what when I was there, I signed up for 3 years, and I just kind of knew that I didn't want to make it a career. I just wanted to, have the experience for a couple of years, and
Mm-hmm.
then get out and find a different career.
And so when it came time to sign the paper, whether or not you wanted to do it again, you were like, heck no, or you like wanted to start your career elsewhere.
Well, once you're in there, the Army's got a lot of, it's cool and all, but there's a lot of stupid things you have to do. You know, it's the Army, so you know, they make you walk around 100-degree heat wearing your helmet. And you don't need to. You're not in a war zone. You're just training. You're just on base, and just there's a lot of little things that will aggravate you and make you want to get
Yeah,
out.
you're like, why the heck am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then we did a lot of cool stuff too, but there was just always the stuff that just aggravated you, and you just wanted to get out. Plus I was always missing home. I wanted to come home, try to come home on the weekends, see my friends, and
Mm-hmm.
I was in North Carolina, so I just knew I wanted to come get out and start a different career.
Yep. Okay, next question. What was your job in the military, and why did you choose it?
I was in the infantry. I was a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne. I was in the infantry as a rifleman. That was my job, and that's just what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne because growing up, and I just heard about the 82nd Airborne and what they did during World War II, and they jumped in combat jumps into Europe, and I just knew that I wanted to be a member of that division.
Yeah, you're all about the action, kind of.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then when you joined up, did you ever like kind of fear that you actually get shipped off to war somewhere, or did that really cross your mind? You were just in it to have fun, basically.
No, I mean, I wanted to go to war. A lot of the people there wanted to go and experience that combat and that camaraderie amongst men, and be in those situations. And when you're in there, you kind of get it. You kind of hear the stories of all the heroes and stuff that came before you from the unit and what they did, and how they held off a German attack or something, but with just himself. And so you kind of wanted to do that. I mean, there was other people in there you could tell that were in there, because a lot of people join for the college money.
Yeah.
They could join up, have an adventure, be a paratrooper, and then get out, and you got a pretty good amount of college money. So a lot of people did that, and I mean, that was always in your back of mind that you had the college money, but
Yeah, what'd you do with your money? Just invest it or put it away?
no, you have to use it for college or school. They don't just give it to you.
Oh, what'd you do with it?
Well, after I got out of the army, I got accepted to the local 440's plumbers and steam fitters apprenticeship program, and I was able to use some of that Montgomery GI Bill while I went to school in the apprenticeship. So I would get a certain amount of money each month for the whole 5 years. So it helped me out when I was young. And
But did you get through it all, or like, is there a set down amount of money that they give you for college or whatever?
yeah, I mean there is. I think I had to pay 12. The Montgomery GI Bill was, you paid $1,200 and they gave you 12,000. So the time when I went in, you had to pay $100 a month for the first year. It came out of your check, and then when you got finished paying that, you paid 1,200, and they would give you 12,000.
Dang, yeah.
For college. And it's probably a lot more now, but back then, in the late '90s, that was pretty good. But then you also had the Army College Fund. I can't remember how much I had on that. I had 20, 30, thousand. I have no idea, but I think the Montgomery GI Bill was what I was able to use during the apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever consider going to college after the army, or were you just on the trade side? Because you get the money for college.
Yeah, I mean, I always had that money in the back of my mind. When I got out, I wasn't. Well, when you're young, you don't really know what you want to do. So one of the reasons why I joined the army was because I didn't really want to go to school anymore.
Yeah.
So I got out of high school and I joined the army, and I spent 3 years there. So I just, I could have went to school. I would have been fine because you get that discipline from the army,
mm-hmm.
where that you could get up in the morning, you could go to class, you can do a lot of things. So it was always in the back of my mind, but I always had I knew I could always get the job, or I knew I could always apply for the apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then did like some army skills transfer over to the trades or any other thing? Like, do you remember anything specific from the army that you transferred over afterwards that you kind of thought was useful?
Yeah, I mean, the infantry and all that, the airborne infantry. The main skills you get from that is leadership skills and able to follow direction.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to get up on time. You have to get up and be at work at a certain time. You're not going to be late. You just went, because there's no being late in the army. You're there. You're on time. You're early. You learn that what you can do physically. So you can run 20 miles or 15 miles or road march 20 miles with 50 pounds on your back and wet. So you just know what you can physically take and mentally. So when you get to the workforce, it's easy because you just went through
hard training
and
mm-hmm.
People yelling at you, dealing with different people that you may not like, but you have to do what they say, because their rank is higher and they you're a lower rank, so you have to do what they say, whether you like them or not. So you just learn how to follow orders, the chain of command. There's a certain chain of command in the world, in the army. You got the private, your sergeant, your officers, and you have to follow a certain chain of command. So a lot of that stuff carries over into the civilian world too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Let's look back at like basic training early when you first joined up. What was your most memorable experience, you think, in basic training? Or at least something memorable that you kind of think back to?
Well, my main memory of basic training was when I first joined up, I wanted to be a rifleman. And once I, when you go to basic training and you're in the infantry, it's all one school. So it's called the Army Infantry School. So you don't have basic training and then you have AIT, which is advanced training. So it's all one school. It's the infantry school. So it's like, I think it's 12 weeks or I think it's 12 weeks, all one school. So it's basic training and advanced infantry. Well, when I took my ASVAB test and scored a certain level, they designate you as 11 X-ray, which means you once you get through the basic training part of it, when you go on to your advanced infantry training, there's different jobs in the infantry. There's riflemen, mortarmen, there's I can't remember any of the other ones, but there's a couple other ones. So they could put you in whatever job they needed. So if they needed a mortarman, they could make you a mortarman. Well, they for some reason they chose me to be a mortarman. Well, I didn't want to be a mortarman. I wanted to be a rifleman. So I remember calling my dad and telling him, I'm like, they're trying to screw me around, you know. I joined up to be a rifleman in the infantry, and didn't, you know, when I signed the papers, I didn't realize that, you know, they could put me where they wanted me. So I called my dad and told him about it. Well, he went to the recruiting office and and got this recruiter involved, and then wrote this letter, and on this letter he put a return sticker on it and had Masons on it. Something about Jerry Evans Masons, Indianapolis West. So when I was in was it Fort Benning, and my drill sergeant Tripp. I'll never forget the guy. You'll never forget your your drill instructor. So drill sergeant Tripp, he called me into his office. Evans, get in here. So I go running in there. Yes, drill sergeant. He shows me that letter, and he said, "What's this?" And I looked at it, and I seen my dad, and I seen something about, you know, Masons or whatever, and I don't even know if the Masons had any bearing on the decision made, you know, but it had that Masons, and my drill sergeant didn't like that. You know, he just thought that you know, he thought that I was trying to be special, you know. So he smoked me in his office. Smoking means he made me run push-ups.
Oh, really?
You know, just, yeah.
Could you like get through all the push-ups, you know?
Well, you just do as many as you can, and then you just stop and break and try to do a few more, and you know, it's just it just goes on.
I mean, how much do you usually do at one time? Like, do they make you at most?
Just when you get too tired doing push-ups, then you got to do jumping jacks.
Oh, yeah.
When you get done doing that, you got to do the neck, whatever, run in place. You know, you got to do, you know, who knows.
You gotta be like pretty fit by then.
Mostly it's push-ups, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably the funniest time, because my dad did that. You know, got me switched over. I don't know how he did it. You know, he just talked to the recruiter, and then somehow ended up talking to the company commander down there at Fort Bragg. Fort Benning, and got me switched. And after all that, once I got to the 82nd Airborne and seeing what the mortarmen did and seeing what the riflemen did, I wish I would have just stayed as a mortarman.
Yeah, that's funny. Alrighty. Okay, now moving up, what was your most memorable experience of advanced training? So the next one up after.
I would say that advanced training, I would probably call that the airborne school.
Airborne school?
I'll say airborne school, because when I went to airborne school, it's 3 weeks. And you got ground week, you got tower week, and then you got jump week. So it's 3 weeks, and you got to run from the barracks over to where you're training every day. And that was the worst part, because you'd have to run in your boots, and that was like the big scary thing of airborne schools. You had to run in your boots. So everybody was worried about it. Well, it wasn't that hard. I mean, you could do it. But I got really sick in airborne school. Like, I had bronchitis or the flu or something. and I mean, I was bad for about 3 days. And I could have went to the medical thing and probably, but I would have got pushed back and would have had to probably start with another class. Well, I had my buddies from basic training, just a couple guys there
Mhm.
with me. So you want to stay with them guys because that's all you knew. You had them guys there, and so I suffered through that for 3 days and somehow made it through that. And I just remember getting off, getting off of work, I guess, or getting out of the school for those couple evenings and going straight in there. And I don't even know if I took a shower or nothing. I just remember going straight in the bed. And I mean, after doing all that all day, sweating, who knows what, going there just laying down, and I couldn't hardly move, and I was pretty sick, but
Ugh.
I made it somehow.
All right. So, what was your most challenging part of being in the military? What was the most, I don't know, difficult part to you? Was it going through basic training, going through advanced training, or was it being on base, doing something?
Yeah, I mean, the most difficult part physically wasn't basic training in airborne school.
I feel like that's what most people think of as basic training. That's got to be like the hardest.
Well, it's not. It's not the hardest. It was pretty easy, fairly easy. I mean, it had some little moments, but it was never physically demanding for me, really. And I couldn't run real well. I mean, I could run, but I mean, my times of the 2 mile run was, not good. I mean, I could do it and all that, but I wasn't a really good runner. But
Mhm.
anyways, so physically, it didn't start getting bad, challenging, I guess, till you got to your unit, till I got to the 82nd. Then it was a little step up because, they try to be an elite unit, so they want you have to be top physical shape. And so some of the physical stuff was demanding. I was fine. I never dropped out of runs. I never dropped out of road marches. I mean, I made it. A lot of guys would drop out. And so that was probably the hardest part physically once you got to your unit. But then you had mentally, the hardest part mentally would just be being away from home for so long.
Yeah, mental part.
Which was fun because it's an adventure. You're going here, you're going there. You're meeting new people and you're kind of hanging around different cities. You're kind of exploring because I was there for 3 years, so we went to Washington D.C. and here and there, but I still like to be hung. 'Cause I like to hunt and fish and do that stuff around here that I always done. So that was the hardest part mentally.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did you ever consider maybe staying in the military and going up to a different army branch, like not branch, like I know Green Berets or the Rangers? You know what I mean? Did you ever consider that?
Yeah, once I got there and got to the 82nd, everybody, you always wanted to be, better. So the Rangers was the next level, or the Special Forces. Once I got there and I seen how hard it was physically, just training with the 82nd, the reality set in and I thought, well, I don't think I could do the Ranger School and the Ranger training or the Special Forces, I mean, I was fine doing what I was doing there, but that next level up, I don't think I could have done that. So I was just honest with myself. And so I just never attempted it because, I didn't want to fail, basically.
Yeah. You don't want to be that guy dropping out. You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the guy dropping out. So I just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody, we had a lot of Rangers, a lot of people with Ranger tabs. So they'd go to Ranger school, and there were guys. There was a guy in my platoon that his brother was a Green Beret.
Mm-hmm.
So and there was a lot of guys from Ranger battalions that would come down to the 82nd after they did their couple years with the Ranger battalion, and they'd come down to the 82nd Airborne, and so they were in our platoon, different guys, different NCOs, and we always looked up to those guys that were from the Ranger battalions and the high speed. The Ranger had the Ranger tabs, So everybody wanted to do that, but
It's whether or not they really could do it. And
yeah,
get
you
through
know,
it,
you got to be, you know, when in high school, like I didn't play football. I didn't.
You're
I
physically
wasn't
ready.
very, you know, I mean, we played basketball in the alley, and you know, we were you know, we were fine, but I just never. I wasn't really really good athlete, so I think you have to be a really good athlete to be a ranger or Green Beret or any of those type guys.
Okay. So, did you ever fight in battle?
No,
No.
no, never fought in battle. One thing that I almost fought in battle. This is my big war story. Okay.
Big war story.
Well, back in, I don't know what year, 1997, maybe 96, when I was in there, the big Haiti thing happened where there was a coup against the elected president of Haiti. I don't remember his name, but this army general took control of the country of Haiti and ousted the president. So, you know, the U.S. military wasn't having it, or the, you know, the U.S. government, I guess. So they, you know, they were going to invade Haiti. They basically gave that guy an ultimatum: you get out of Haiti, that general, and give it back to the president, or we're going to invade Haiti and we're going to basically, you know, arrest you or kill you, you know, whatever we have to do. So they locked us down, wouldn't let us communicate because we didn't have cell phones and stuff back then. So they basically they took us out of our barracks and we didn't know what was going on. So they just took us over to this other little camp at Fort Bragg, and we stayed there for like probably 5 to 7 days, and we were training. They had, you know, once we got over there, then they told us what was going on. You know, they couldn't tell us beforehand because everybody would have called their parents. Oh God, yeah.
Was it like secret mission?
It kind of was. Yeah, it was a secret mission at the time. So, but they had a whole battalion. So just so happens that when that happened, my battalion was on the 2-hour recall ready battalion. So meaning we were the ones that would go to war if something happened. And my battalion was that battalion. So they took us over there, and I was going to be the first wave. I was going to be the third plane.
Oh my gosh.
The first wave to jump into Haiti. Okay. Well, they started showing us all. They started showing us all this intelligence. They had maps laid out on the sand. You always see them, the big army maps.
Mm-hmm.
And they had all kinds of photographs. We were going to jump into the Port-au-Prince airport. That's where we were going to jump into. And the mission of my platoon, my company, was to jump in. We were going to jump into the airport. And, the third plane, there might have been, 1,000 guys jumping in on the first wave. Maybe more. Maybe 1,500 guys. Okay, so, but my company, which is about 150 guys, were all going to assemble at this spot on the airport. And this was at night, and we had ways, we had, night vision, and they'd hold up these glowing symbols, basically, so you'd know where to assemble. You'd have to look for those spots. But anyways, our mission was to, as soon as we got, I think it was 30 guys, the first 30 guys that were going to get on that rally point where we were assembling at on the airfield, those 30 guys were going to go set up an ambush on this road that entered and exited the Port-au-Prince airport. It was the only road in and out. So we were going to go set up an ambush, and if, their military or their police was going to try to come, if we seen, vehicles coming to attack us or our guys on the airfield, we were supposed to light them up. But that was our mission. So we went through all that for 5-7 days training, and then finally it was time. They gave us our ammo, gave us our meals, everything. We packed up. We went over to Pope Air Force Base, and we put on our chutes and got all our gear, our ammo, our weapons. and it just felt like another training mission because we had done it so many times. It didn't seem like it was real. Just like just the same thing, just like we always did. But we loaded up and we was flying over there, and remember the jump master on the plane. He said, "Camo up." So we took out our little camo packs. We camoed our faces and everything. I mean, you did a real good job too. Like
Yeah.
normally you would kind of, but we did a real good job. And then we flew for, I don't know, a couple hours down there, or got an hour, maybe hour and a half. I don't know. But then as soon as we got that camo on, the jump master said missions. He wrote on a chalkboard. He had a little chalkboard because it's real loud. Mission scratched, going home. And he put up this chalkboard. And so we turned around and came back.
Did your family know about this at all?
Well, I think they did because CNN was broadcasting the planes taking off from Pope Air Force Base heading to Haiti. So basically, CNN was told that general that we were coming, getting ready to invade, and there was other pieces invading too, the Rangers, Special Forces, all that. And he, as soon as he seen that on the news, he left, and he exiled himself.
Yeah, they knew that we weren't bluffing anymore.
And he gave the country back to that guy, so that they accomplished the mission,
Can you describe the training processes of becoming a paratrooper in airborne school?
Well, I kind of told you some of that, but the first week is ground week. That's when you learn how to land. So it's only just landing, because landing is the main part. That's how you're going to get hurt. It's not landing correctly. So had all kinds of different little apparatuses. You would put harnesses on and go down like a little zip line and just practice landing in different positions, because the chutes we would use, you don't steer them. They're round chutes, so you pretty much just fall. Just fall where you're going. There's no steering. The only thing you could do is you could pull up on, you had 4 risers that came up and went to your chute. You could pull on the front too, and it would kind of collapse the chute to where you might go this way, forward a little bit. You collapse the back, and you might go back, side and side. But you couldn't turn, you couldn't do nothing. So, if you're falling from right to left, what you'd have to do is you'd look at the horizon, figure out which way you're falling, and then right when you think you're getting ready to hit the ground, you would grab the 2 risers on the opposite direction. So if you're falling this way, you want to pull on these 2 so that you would come more straight. So you'd collapse this side and it would kind of go like this, or whichever direction. Sometimes you don't be going straight forward, and so you'd want to slow that, because that's what would hurt you, is if you hit real hard on your upper body, it'd knock the wind out of you. So you'd want to minimize the side to side. And that was the first week, was ground week. So you'd learn that. The second week was the tower week. Okay, so that was when you practice exiting the aircraft. So you would put on harnesses. They had little mock-up planes where you'd practice just on the ground, everybody, in line, going down the plane, and exiting the door and just jumping, 6 inches out the door onto the ground. Just the practice of the exiting the plane, because you got those tag lines right here that goes back to your chute, and you don't want those getting wrapped around your arm, anything. You have to be real careful about that. So as you exit, we would practice, what you do. You just drop your hand straight down, and then how, your form and position when you jumped out, because it was real windy when you jumped out, so you had to keep a tight form. So that was the second week. And the third week, well, on the second week we progressed too. You jump out 6 inches, then they had the tower that was like 50 foot maybe, and on a zip line. So you put a harness on, and you'd attach to this zip line, and you'd practice jumping out, and then you'd jump out and actually fall, and it'd catch you, and you'd go down this zip line. And then the third week was jump week, where you'd actually jump out, and you'd have to jump out 5 times, and then you get your jump wings. So you have to do one nighttime jump.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the third week.
Alrighty. So the interview's done.